The movie Little Giants has a scene at the end where Rick Moranis is talking to his kids, his football team. They're losing at halftime. And he tells them about how when he was a kid, he used to race up the hill, down the hill, with his brother every day. And every day his brother would beat him. And one day, he says, he left him in his dust. Something was lost in translation when my genes were made. I'm a twin, a fraternal twin, and my brother has many more physical gifts than I do. Even coming out of the womb, like he pushed off my head, coming out and beat me out of the womb, and it's been that way pretty much ever since. So like, there's kind of a nice symmetry that goes on. Like he is athletic and physically gifted and good looking, and I kind of have a funny shaped head. I'm a little awkward and ungainly. And so there's always been this kind of competition between us. But it's a competition in the same way that the Cleveland Brown fans are competitive. Like, they're never going to win, but they're still like fiercely believing in themselves. So you see this kind of playing out, as kids. In Little League, my brother batted like second or third, and I batted 13th on our dad's team. My brother made varsity basketball, which put him up with like the cheerleaders and the football captains. I made varsity Model United Nations, which put me up there with like the Pokemon Fan Fiction Writers Association and the Magic the Gathering Tournament of Champions. He kissed pretty girls. I had my first kiss unofficially revoked for it being so bad. So, there's always a nice symmetry there between us growing up. And the summer after that first fateful kiss, or non-kiss, my brother and I were playing tennis for a club in Northeast Philadelphia, and he was the number 1 seed, and I was the number 2 seed, but I was like a distant number 2. And that summer, he won, not unsurprisingly, our playground tournament and made it on to the city championship. Now, in a way that sometimes happens, I think that our coach felt bad for me and sent me to the tournament as well. So I knew I had no chance because I was a number 2 playing against a bunch of number 1s. But I was kind of like, a cockroach after a nuclear attack. Like, you'd be surprised at my ability to stick around. And I was playing against a lot of people who were a lot more talented than me and a lot more physically gifted. But I was just trying to get the ball back over the net. And I think they had put a lot more pressure on themselves than I did. So Mike made his way through the first round, and I made my way through the first round. And more I noticed that the people I was playing against were putting a lot of pressure on themselves. And I was able to beat them just by trying to get the ball back over the net. And it just so happened that summer, in the championship round of the boys 14 and under intermediate tennis public parks tournament, I met my brother in the championship game. And the day before, in a kind of psych ops type way, my brother and I went to the playground and he destroyed me, ran all over me. He hit a lot harder than I did, was able to hit a lot more accurately than I did. And I think the next day at the championship, he came in and he was like, I'm going to serve and volley. And I was like, I'm going to hit the ball into that big box. And he was like, I'm going to hit it with English topspin. And I was like, I just don't want to hit the ball into the net. So as it turns out, my brother put a lot of pressure on himself on that day. And for the first and only time in my life, I beat him in a match. And I realized that it wasn't that I was mistranslated. It was that I was meant to express myself in a different language. Epilogue. My brother was still bigger and stronger than me, and we were in very close quarters in a in the car ride home, and he was fuming mad. Like, loss was not something he had experienced up to this point. And my trophy was big. And so I said to him, and he took this the completely wrong way. I said to him, Mike, your trophy's nice too. And so he took the trophy, and he walloped me with the blunt edge of it on my head. And I noticed that his trophy was nice, but it was still smaller than mine. Thank you.